Hi guys, Rachel here with the Cackling Moon. Welcome. How are you guys doing? I feel like we need to ask that question a little bit more often these days. So allow me to ask you guys, how are you doing? Go ahead and leave a comment below and just tell me what's on your mind. Tell me how you feel. Is there anything bugging you? Is there anything exciting that you want to announce? There's Starla. She's probably going to go after Mama Mary. I have a Mama Mary statue over there. And my grandma's necklace hangs around Mama Mary's neck. And Starla is like obsessed with it. So get down. Shoo. Shoo, shoo, shoo. She tries to be sneaky. So anyways, just comment below. Let me know what's going on in your neck of the woods, you guys. I wanted to start the video off with just literally asking you, how are you? Because I think that question doesn't get asked enough. And we're in a time right now where I just think it's really important that we reach out to people and that we make sure everyone, you know, is heard, and people know that they are that they're heard, and that they know that there's people there around them that support them and care about them. So make sure that you are, you know, checking in, even if it's a quick text message to your friends or to your coworkers that you know, maybe because some of you guys aren't working right now, so you haven't seen your coworkers and you're used to seeing them on a daily basis. You know, start some group chats with your friends and stuff to keep, you know, just to keep in touch, because it's so easy to want to resort inward, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with isolation, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be alone and to be, you know, a little antisocial. But I also feel like there's an importance to also reach out to people and to just to let them know that they are loved, or that they are being thought of, or that you're sending, you know, positive vibes their way, or that you're there if they need you. Okay, so that's just my little thing for you guys. Just know that. So, I may be clearing my throat. I may be, you know, blowing my nose throughout this video. I don't know if I'm coming down with a cold. Please just let it be a cold. But I woke up this morning a little bit, I don't feel under the weather, but I just feel a little tightness in my chest. And I feel like just a little tightness in my chest, and I have a little bit of, mucus buildup, I guess you want to call it, like just a little bit though. So I took a cold and sinus pill, and hopefully that'll kind of kick it. So this is just one of those times where it's like, you're still going to have allergies. You're still going to get head colds. You're still going to get, you know, the stomach aches and like things like that. But I think it's like anytime that we find ourselves feeling a little bit off, the first thing we think of is like, oh my gosh, did I get the virus? So I'm just going to be positive and drink my water. Okay, you guys, so this video is going to be just me opening space for you. And I want to share with you some of my things that I find comforting, as in coming from the aspect of a tarot reader, okay? So if you are a tarot reader, if you read cards, and if you love crystals, and if you love essential oils and this and that, you know, I wanted to kind of share with you the things that I like to do to kind of help me feel relaxed and less anxiety. Because I do suffer from panic attacks and anxiety. I get very fidgety. I get very nervous, and usually it equates in me breaking out in eczema flare-ups. So, so I wanted to kind of share with you things that I'm doing right now to calm myself, and as well as introducing some decks that I purposely feel are really good for lifting the mood. And so I wanted to share my little collection with you of decks that I pulled that I feel are like the perfect energy right now. This was actually an idea given to me by somebody in our community who was in my DM this morning. So thank you for the idea. And yeah, so let's get started. So first things first, I want to talk about scents, okay? So I find having the house to smell like something in particular really helps to lessen the anxiety, at least for me. So certain scents like baking, okay? I find like coffee in the morning is really relaxing. So, you know, I'm always brewing my coffee in the morning. I find the scent of like a home cooked meal to be extremely relaxing. The other day I baked a cake, and it was actually the baking stuff that I had bought for my birthday cake back in February, but I never even baked my cake. So I ended up baking a cake a couple nights ago, and the whole house was like warm because the oven was on, and the house smelled like baking, like a cake, you know? So it was really cozy. It was like a cozy feel. So I think it's important that, you know, if you are one of those people that scents help you relax, buy a candle or have a candle lit that kind of brings out that scent that is relaxing, or, you know, sprays or things like that. So I don't have any sprays out that I brought, but I do have a lot of sprays. I tend to go for lavender. So this is a lavender candle that I purchased from Anita Apothecary. I always talk about her stuff because I love her candles. They're gorgeous. I have another one over here, the Sacred Space candle. And so I really highly recommend her products. So Anita Apothecary, you could find her on Etsy. But this is a lavender candle. It's really cute because she used the lavender herbs to create a crescent moon. And I have not lit this because I was I was intentionally waiting for the right moment. And I feel like today being like, we're now in spring, and I feel like today being just what it is with the anxiety that's up right now, that this would be a good time more than ever to light the candle. So I'm actually gonna light it now on video and have the lavender scent for everybody. Well, you guys can't smell it, but you can only assume that it's gonna smell amazing. So I light this candle with the intention of setting space, sacred space for comfort, to relieve anxiety. And every time that it is lit, that I ask that it relieves anxiety and that it brings a sense of comfort to myself and the home, as well as in the readings if I do choose to light this in client readings. So it's really important that you set an intention for your candle. You don't have to, but it is kind of a fun thing to do if you're all about intention setting. So it doesn't have to be this big ritual. You can simply hold the candle in your hand, recite the prayer like I just did, and light it and let it do its thing. So I'm excited to have a scented candle lit. This is another candle I have. This was a third eye chakra candle that I had purchased one of the home goods stores, and it's purple. I've been using it. This is the one that I actually have lit in all of my client readings. And it's also lavender scent. So I find lavender to be extremely relaxing. And it's definitely my #1 scent that I recommend to anybody that's looking for comfort, for release, for a meditation scent, to work with the third eye, to work with your psychic abilities, to work with your intuition and all of the above. Amethyst. Where did that come from? Amethyst, because this is an amethyst on the candle. Lavender is the scent I recommend. You can also do it in terms of oils too. So I do have oils, and it's on a roll-on, and it's really easy to make your own. You can just, you know, have some coconut oil and, you know, put a few drops of the lavender scented essential oils, and in a roll-on, add some, I added some amethyst crystals, and you have yourself a lavender scented roll-on. Put it on your wrist. So I like to put it on my wrists. Sometimes I like to put it behind my ears, like the skin behind my ear. Sometimes I'll put a dab like in your pulse points. So you could put it like on your neck where you have, you know, where your pulse is. You could put it in like definitely on the wrists. And sometimes like I'll put some, like I'll have the loose oil, and then I'll smear it and I'll put it actually in my hair just to give the hair a scent. So like because I always play with my hair. And so when you touch your hair and you're moving it around, you'll smell the lavender. Okay. Let's talk about some crystals, because I'm a crystal person. I love crystals. And my top crystals that I recommend for relieving anxiety, for paranoia, for just feeling tense and stressed, are definitely more darker stones. So I do recommend black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is a really good grounding stone to soak up anxieties, to soak up negative energies, and just a good cleansing stone as well. It's a very good protection stone. Anything that is dark is a very good protective stone or a grounding for the root chakra. So I have a couple pieces of black tourmaline. This one actually has some clear quartz in it, so it's a really cool piece. So you can get it in tumbled form. You can get it, this one also has some, I think it's like red. I don't know what kind of red stripes that is. Red jasper. It has something mixed else in it. I love getting stones that are just kind of imperfect. And then this is a raw stone, a raw black tourmaline. So you can get, have the raw form as well. So I recommend if you're feeling really like you just feel like there's just a lot of nasty energy around you, or it's just a lot of negative energy, or maybe you're still having to go to work and you're just dealing with a lot of that negative vibe. I do recommend black tourmaline, black obsidian, jet, anything dark, okay? I also have it in the form of a bracelet. So this is obsidian. And I like to wear bracelets too. If you don't have or you don't want to carry a chunky stone on you, you can also do it in a bracelet form, necklaces, rings, whatever the case. So I'm wearing my black obsidian today. The next to the darkest stone that I have is Smoky Quartz. I am definitely a lover of Smoky Quartz. It's probably like one of my most favorite crystals. They come in tumbled form. They come in raw form. I don't believe I have any raw form near me. I have a big one. I have a big tower that I keep in my room. But the Smoky Quartz comes in all different shapes and sizes. You can get it raw. I like the tumbled forms because they're just easier to handle. Some are darker than others, but Smoky Quartz is known for depression, okay? So it's a really good stone to work with to soak up bad energies, depression. It's also a very good grounding stone, so again, for the root chakra and all of that. So I definitely recommend Smoky. It's very easily accessible at your local metaphysical shops. You can find it on Etsy. A lot of my pieces I bought on Etsy or my local metaphysical shops. Another one I recommend, this one I've actually been personally called to it. This is my black moonstone. My black moonstone, I don't know, there's something about this stone that I have been really attracted to for the last couple days. Like I said, I do get panic attacks and I get a lot of anxiety. And so anything dark, this one's a palm stone and it just fits perfectly in my hand. I set the intention for relaxation. So sometimes I just carry my stone with me around the house. If I'm laying on the couch reading, I have the stone like laying on me. Like it's just kind of funny, but that's what I do. It just relaxes me, or it's just something to have in your hand to play with when you're, if you're at work or if you are sitting at the office or whatever. It's just, I find palm stones to be a little bit more easy to handle. More easy to handle. So the black moonstone is definitely another one that I recommend. I also have labradorite. So I chose labradorite because this is a really good meditation stone, okay? Labradorite is also easily accessible at your local shops, as well as on Etsy. You could find some. This is a recommendation, but I recommend palm stones. So when I say palm stones, they are round. Usually they're round. Sometimes they're flat. Sometimes they're puffy, like mine are puffy. But they're round and they're smooth. So you could keep them in your palms when you're meditating. And they're not, or you can like balance them on your chakra points, on your forehead, whatever you want to do. But I do recommend palm stones for meditation. And I do recommend labradorite for meditation. So if you're doing a lot of meditative states, if you are doing readings, like if you're a reader and you meditate or you need to ground yourself and focus, come to center before you do readings, labradorite is a really good one. Labradorite is also a really good one to connect with your third eye, okay, and your intuition. So that's a favorite for mine. I also pulled a piece of citrine. I'm also wearing, if you've noticed, I'm wearing yellow. So I have a yellow sweater and I've been wearing a yellow t-shirt today. When I get warm, I take the sweater off. Yellow is corresponding to the solar plexus chakra, which is located in your belly area, just below your belly button or your belly button area. I see the solar plexus as your inner joy. It's your health meter. So I feel solar plexus energy right now is really important as we're going through this pandemic. I feel like our health is valuable. Our health is precious. Our health and as well as the health of those around us. And so I'm really trying to embrace that solar plexus energy. It's advice that I give a lot of my clients in readings to associate the colors with the chakras that you are working with. So today I'm working with solar plexus energy. So I'm wearing yellow as a reminder of that. But you can also do it also in the form of crystals. So one of my favorites is citrine, okay? So citrine is a really good one for solar plexus energy. It's also, it brings prosperity and lightness. I think the color yellow in general, it resembles the sun, it's radiance, and it brings joy and peace. And when you think of yellow, you think of the sun, and the sun in the tarot is happiness and joy and youthfulness. And so I think that that's a lot of energy that we need to embrace, okay? And lastly, see, I didn't pick any amethyst because I always have amethyst. So lastly, my crystal of choice is aquamarine. I can't say enough about aquamarine. I have various little pieces at different grades. But aquamarine is a peaceful stone. So this is a tumbled piece of aquamarine. It's more of like a greenish yellow, like a blue-green sea color. I don't know. It's a really, really pretty color of aquamarine. But you can get it tumbled. You can also get it in raw form. So this is my raw piece. It's a little bit lighter and more blue than the other one. See that color? Ooh, it's so gorgeous. So this is a raw form of aquamarine, and also I have another tumbled piece that's more of a blue color, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I like aquamarine for the intention of anxiety. It calms the anxiety. It's a calming stone. Aquamarine is the stone for Pisces as well, but it's also ocean related. And when you think of the ocean is your emotions. It's calm. If you've ever listened to ocean waves, it's very soothing, as well as like the water is just being the depths of you, right? Your emotions and like your inner parts, and also your throat chakra because it's blue, or your heart chakra for the green energy. So aquamarine is a little bit difficult to come by. Not every metaphysical store will have some, but I found most of my pieces, with the exception of this one, on online shops via Etsy. So I got my tumbled stone on Etsy. I got my other tumbled stones on Etsy. This one was from a metaphysical store. So it just depends. It's a little bit pricey because aquamarine, like I said, it's a little bit more difficult to come by. But if you can snag yourself a piece, I also have an aquamarine bracelet, but I'm not wearing it right now. I do recommend it, especially if you're like me and you just struggle with anxiety, stress, depression, all of the above. Okay, so those are my crystals that I recommend. So other things is like leisure time, right? We have a lot of that right now. Those of us who are staying home and we are not working, or if we're working from home, but we also need to maintain taking care of ourselves. So self-care. And I pulled my self-care books. I have one for Pisces, which is my sun sign. And I love these little books. You can find them at Barnes & Noble. I also have Taurus because my husband's a Taurus. And these little self-care books they just talk about the self-care necessities for your sign. So you can go based off of your sun sign or whatever sign you resonate with the most. Some people resonate more with their rising signs or their moon signs. I resonate a lot really strongly with Pisces because I have 4 planets in Pisces in my chart. So I pulled the Pisces book. But like I said, it just goes into just different activities that associate with your sign, and it gives you ideas of ways that you can relax and take care of the self and get crafty with it. So I've gotten some really cool ideas from the book, and it's just one that I always pull whenever I need a little bit of TLC. I also pulled books. So I'm currently going to be diving into the House of Salt and Sorrows. This is a mermaid fiction book. I'm really feeling the mermaid vibes. We're no longer in Pisces season, but like Pisces season always brings up the mermaid energy for me. But also I think the element of mermaids is just, it brings me back to my childhood. It brings me back to a time of my life where the magical, the imaginative, the fairy tales, it's just a very peaceful, it's a peaceful memory for me, and it's a peaceful energy. So I think that's why I've been so drawn to the mermaids lately, because of that aspect, which brings me back again to the sun card and wearing yellow. The sun is your youth. And so I think for a lot of people, you know, when you need a little bit of a break, reading a book is a really good way to go, you guys. So, you know, those of you guys are my bookworms out there, I know I have a lot of you who follow me, diving into books, you know, and I like to balance it out, like have a fiction book, have a nonfiction book, right? So something that is like completely fantasy world or anything, you know, reading about someone else's life and reading about their problems, a fictional life problem versus your own, is a great way to escape. And then also like reading something more nonfiction based, which is more facts and more like scientific and just like, you know, something that has to do with your interests. So some people are like into the cookbooks right now because you're trying new recipes while you're home. I've been reading astrology. I'm always reading astrology, but I've been reading astrology based on the finances with your signs. So that's been really interesting. But as with, and then also I've been reading this one. Speaking of mermaids, I've been revisiting an old mermaid book that I've had forever. Mermaids, the Myths, Legends, and Lore. It's basically, it talks about the facts, well, not really facts, but like the myths of mermaids around the different cultures and just the storylines behind it. So I've been diving into that as well. It's just been like really nice to get away from the news, which is why I'm bringing up books, because it's just a nice way to escape reality for a little bit. I don't have any workbooks with me, but I do recommend like word searches, crossword puzzles, Sudoku, like all of those like little brainstorming games to keep your brain active while you're staying home. That's also kind of a fun little thing to give the kids if you guys have kids, and it just keeps them busy, right? And they're not just like zoning out on TV, or they're not just zoning out on their phones or their computers or whatever. I think that doing like crossword puzzles and stuff is like a really great way to divert that attention. I don't think I have the book around me right now. I also recommend coloring books. So whether you have kids too, that works, but I'm talking about like meditation / adult coloring books. So I have a mermaid coloring book. I have like a really cute animal one. I have some with flowers, like really relaxing, right? And I literally I have like a big old box of markers. I plant my ass down at the kitchen table with my markers, my coloring book. I throw on some really good music on my phone, and I just zone out and color, and I just take my time. And usually like your mind is still active. You're thinking about everything, but you're also like focusing on an activity, and it just really kind of helps you soothe and relax. So I totally recommend like any kind of brain teasing puzzles. Sudoku is one of my other favorites, but I have an app on my phone, so I usually do that too. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the decks. So this is the last part of the video. These are decks that I recommend if you are just needing kind of like a soft, fun, like a simple energy with your readings, or you know, whether you're reading for yourself or for other people. Just some fun decks that kind of, they're just gentle energy. And then there's a couple that I pulled that are really good for working with yourself, doing readings on yourself, or just being more like journal provoking kind of decks. Okay, so let me quickly arrange it by tarot and oracle. Okay, so let's talk about the thought-provoking decks first. So there's only two of them. First one is the Enchanted Map Oracle. This one is by Colette Baron Reed. This deck was like, it was like one of those last-minute Barnes & Noble purchases, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, but it tickled it tickled my interest, and I'm so glad that I bought this deck. I think it is definitely underrated. It's an oracle deck, and I mean, you pull the card, you can pull it upright or in reversed. It's one of those decks that you need the guidebook for, because the guidebook is so good. You just get really deep, insightful messages from the cards. Like I said, it has an upright meaning and a reversal meaning. This is one of those decks that I love to pull for clients, especially for like spiritual based readings or really deep thought provoking readings. But this is also one of those decks that I like to pull when I am journaling. So I totally recommend the Enchanted Map Oracle. And definitely look at the guidebook. Like, this guidebook has a lot of love because you're going to get so much more from it just based off of the guidebook and less off of just your intuition. Like, your intuition is always good to use when you're doing readings. Like, for most of my decks, I would have to say maybe about 95% of my decks, I do use just my intuition. Like, I don't use the guidebook, but there are a couple that I do use guidebooks for. So Enchanted Map is one of them. I also recommend the Native Spirit Oracle. This one gets a bad rep from people. Some people don't like it because of the Native American words and, you know, just so on and so forth. But this is one of those decks that I like to use solo for myself, to minimize people being offended, or minimize people just being like a little bit concerned about some of the wordage used in the deck. So I do use this one mainly for myself, and I would have to say that this deck is one of my soul decks. It's just one that speaks to me on another level. I get some of the most profound messages from it, and I have major like automatic writing sessions and just writing in my journal. This deck is just so thought-provoking. So it's called Native Spirit Oracle. It has a lot of love. The deck, the guidebook gets a lot of love from me. It's like, again, it's one of those decks where the guidebook is so necessary. It has a very earth-based chakra, like as far as the chakras, like a very earthy, I would say root and sacral chakra energy to it. Again, it's very Native American inspired, as well as like really beautiful pictures of landscapes and animals, and just the color scheme is just warm. It's like very summery, and it's a gorgeous deck, and it's just my favorite. So it may not be something I pick for other people. It has to be certain people. There's certain clients that I would use this deck for, but it's probably my deck that I use solely for myself. Okay, so those are my two deep decks. Now let's talk about the tarot, because I only have three. So when it comes to the decks that I picked out for this kind of like soft, fun energy to lighten the mood, I tend to go for decks that are colorful and bright, and really just like playful energy. And the top one I picked, and it's not one that I use hardly ever, and I'm so mad at myself, but whenever I remember that I have it, it's one of those decks where I'm like, I need to use it more, and that is the Gummy Bear Tarot. So the Gummy Bear Tarot, just looking at it, is just like the cutest thing ever. It brings back, whoo, I have like cat hair everywhere. It's the cutest thing ever. It brings back, just like this, just like childlike energy. And sometimes that's just the energy that we need, right? Not taking life so seriously and just being really youthful and just soft. You know what I mean? And so this deck is so cute. It follows Rider-Waite, which is another reason why I love it. But it's just gentle. It has nothing but gummy bears like depicted in all of these Rider-Waite based images. It's very colorful. It's so easy to read with. And I really like it. The card backs are super cute. Okay, you have the little bears. So, and it's one of those decks too where, like, you know, like when you're doing a reading for people and you pull like, let's see, let me see if I can find one of the darker cards. I had just seen, okay. So it's like you're doing a reading for someone and you pull the devil. I mean, you see that and it's just like, it's not going to make someone be like, oh my God, you know, like it's freaking cute. So it's just, I love it. So it's a gentle deck, and it's definitely, look at the lovers. Look at, he has a little plant in front of his pee-pee. Not like, I mean, you would think it's a gummy bear. Like, do they really have body parts like that? But okay. Look at this death card. And the little face, his little face on the death card. That is so funny. So, yeah, the Gummy Bear Tarot, I highly recommend. Mine is I don't know if this one comes in standard size. Mine is the little tin box, so it's a smaller deck, but definitely something to lighten up the mood. You're definitely going to get a smile out of somebody when you use it. So I recommend that too. Okay, next is the Good Tarot. This one gets, some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's just one of those decks where you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. There's really no middle ground. People tend to dislike it because it's a little bit different. It's very like positive kind of a deck. Like it's, you know, there's really no depictions of anything negative. And some people don't like that because they kind of like a balance, which I could totally appreciate. But I also think that it's kind of nice to have a deck that is just a lot of love and light. Love and light. Always positive, right? But it's really nice to have something like that because sometimes we just need a pick-me-up kind of a reading. And so I feel like this deck is just, it's very fantasy based. It's very whimsical. It's beautiful in its coloring. You have a lot of like fairies, you have animals, you have angels, you have mermaids, wizards, you have like everything under the sea that you can think of. And it does not follow Rider-Waite. In fact, it's very different, and it's a super, super like, intuitive kind of a deck because if you're used to Rider-Waite, then you're going to want to, you know, it's more natural to read when you're used to Rider-Waite. But when you get a deck that is like, it doesn't follow Rider-Waite, it gets your intuition working on a different level. So it really like tricks you into trusting your intuition and trusting like what comes to mind. So I like the Good Tarot. It's one of my favorites. It doesn't get a lot of love, but it should. And yeah, so that is another deck that I recommend to kind of uplift the energies, and it's just a pleasant one. I hardly use the guidebook for it, but I think that if you don't really like decks that don't follow Rider-Waite, then maybe the guidebook would be kind of helpful, but it's up to you. Everyone, to each their own. The other tarot deck I chose is the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot. Like I said, I'm on a mermaid kick right now. I feel like this deck is so fun because it is very cartoony. So you have gorgeous, I love the card backs of this deck, so pretty. But It's very cartoony. It does follow the Rider-Waite for the most part. But it's like the color scheme, the cartoons, like the cartoon images, it's just different. It's a funky deck. It's one of those decks that's going to get people to really think. and it's like when you're reading for clients, whether you do them in person or, you know, virtual, people are going to be so focused on the cards and less on you, which is kind of a nice thing. But I just think that the brightness of the colors, just the funkiness of it really brings and it welcomes that element of playfulness into your readings. So definitely something that I think would be good for readings. You don't have a lot of like this is the Five of Cups. They're an otherwise negative or a more negative or a low vibrational card is still pleasant. Like it's not super upsetting looking. Although I think the Ten of Swords is still pretty crazy. I like the darker cards, like the Devil and all that. Like I'm not afraid of it, but sometimes if you're looking for a deck that is not gonna depict such dark, heavy cards, here's the Devil. So something like this would be kind of cool to have. So that's the Dame Darcy Tarot. Definitely one of my new favorites. It's one of my newest ones that I've had in the collection, and definitely something that I will be pulling out in the summertime. But it's getting a head start right now for these fun, this fun vibe that I'm looking for. Okay, next are some Oracle decks that I recommend. So let's start with the Animal Spirit. So this is the Animal Spirit Oracle. It's by the same creator of Wild Unknown, which is Kim Kranz. I picked the Animal Spirit Oracle because it's kind of like when you're a little bit over the drama of the news and the media and just like all this doom gloom stuff about people and humanity, it's kind of nice to resort to more decks that are less humans and more animals or fairy tale creatures like the tarot or gummy bears. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of a nice little escape. So I love the Animal Spirit Oracle. This is definitely one where I recommend using the guidebook with it. And of course on top is my little whale. So, but the images on the cards are beautiful, and it's just fun. It's just nice to use the energy of the animals to get some clarity in your readings. So I highly recommend an animal deck, any animal deck, but I just picked Animal Spirit because I really love the vibrancy of the colors and just the way that these cards are depicted. So, and I do recommend, I have the guidebook for the deck, but if you don't have the guidebook, the deck also just comes with this little handout that has some spreads, and then it just talks about each of the cards based on their elements. So it depends, one or the other, but I'm pretty sure the mass-produced copy, this is the indie version, but the mass-produced copy of this deck that you can find like on Amazon and stuff, I'm pretty sure it comes with the guidebook, but correct me if I'm wrong. So that is the Animal Spirit Oracle. Let's see. Another one is Earth Magic. I love this deck, you guys. If you're looking for nature-based, earth energy-based, root chakra-based readings or cards, this is the one. Very, very, very intuitive deck. I hardly ever use the guidebook, but the guidebook is really good too. But like I said, it's a lot of just earth, beautiful depictions of earth and Mother Nature. You have some animals, you do have some people in it, but it's not heavy in humans. So it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. It really gets you thinking. It's very insightful, and it's a super, super intuitive deck. You guys will see this one in action all the time. This is one of my favorites to pull for readings. I, for the longest time, did not own this deck. I'm so surprised that I got through so many years without it, and now that I have it, it's like, It's one of my favorites. So it's an oldie but a goodie. This deck has been around for a while and it's still available. You can find it on Amazon for really cheap. I got my copy at a local metaphysical store, and I think I paid, you know, I paid full price. Yeah, it was $18.99, but you can easily find this like on eBay for like $6. But I like to support small businesses, so I had no problem paying full price for the deck. It was worth it. Let me have some water. Make sure you guys are hydrating during this time. Minimize, woo, I just like sprayed water all over me. Minimize those headaches, right? Hydrate. I totally like splash water all over my face. Okay, this one, the Psychic Tarot for the Heart. I was so tempted to pick my Psychic Tarot because you guys know, if you've been following me forever, I freaking love the Psychic Tarot. This is another, it's like the sister deck of the Psychic Tarot. It's by John Holland. This is my favorite. This is actually a second copy of the deck. My first copy was an older version, and it it was just like the chunkiest deck. It was so thick, and I wore the shit out of it, and I ended up gifting it. I think I sold it or like rehomed it or whatever to somebody. I don't even remember who has it. And I bought a new copy, which now this one is starting to get more loved. You could tell by the sides. But this one is much thinner cardstock, and it's gold gilded, which if you see my, like, let me just show you. My Psychic Tarot was also gilded. I think it was silver. This deck, I should get a second copy of this one, but it's no longer. Yeah, it used to be gold. You could tell a little bit on the sides. It used to be gold gilding like this one, but it's so well loved. You can't even tell. So yeah, I definitely need another copy of this, but there's just nothing like your well-worn deck. Psychic Tarot is my main one aside from Rider-Waite. But anyways, Psychic Tarot for the Heart I chose because this is a really good deck for relationships and also for self-love. So if you're looking for something for self-love, I totally recommend this one. The card backs are really pretty. It has a lot of humans in it, and it's like a lot of like digital art. So if you're not into that kind of thing, you may not like it, but I find it to be super intuitive, and I read it as an oracle, even though it's called a tarot. But I love it. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. This one is actually called an oracle deck. Psychic Tarot for the Heart Oracle deck. So it's an oracle. I read it as an oracle. But yeah, so I totally recommend this one. I'm always raving about it. And one thing that I really love about it is it has chakra cards. So oh, they're all the way at the back. Okay. It comes with chakra cards. So it also, you could do energy readings with it based on the chakras. Love it. So that is Psychic Tarot for the Heart. Let me just put it back real fast. I've been talking for almost an hour. Thank you guys for hanging in there, if you've hung in there the whole time. 3 more decks, and they're all Doreen Virtue. So if you don't like Doreen Virtue, you can just X out now. But the 3 decks of hers that I completely recommend are the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins. Again, with the mermaid energy, it's really sweet. It is such a sweet deck. So those are the card backs. The messages on these cards are just absolutely sweet, and just like, it's like a warm hug. It's like, you know, mama telling you everything's gonna be okay. It does bring up some concerns, you know, like there could be some negative twist to it, but for the most part, it's like one of those decks that are where you're just going to be told everything is going to be okay. It's beautiful. It's mermaids. There's some angels in there. You also have a lot of marine life, and it's just a beautiful deck. So if you're looking for a mermaid oracle, this is another fun one that I recommend. I just find Doreen Virtue decks to be very soft energy. People either love her or hate her. I don't mind her. I love her decks, and this is a good one for comfort. Angel Therapy is another really good one for comfort as well, especially if you're reading for yourself. It's just very like I said, it kind of has a religious twist to it. It's definitely about angels. You'll have the archangels in there, prayers and stuff. But if you're looking for a very like spiritual therapy kind of a deck, I do recommend the Angel Therapy Oracle. And it also has chakras. So this is like solar plexus chakra. And the message says, it's safe for you to be powerful and take charge of your life in positive ways. So you see what I mean? Like the messages are just really like uplifting. They're encouraging, supportive, really, really, really good. Really good tarot, oracle deck, I'm sorry. So I really like it. That's the Angel Therapy. And lastly, Crystal Angels. So this one is a little bit newer. It's been around for, I think, at least 2 years. But it's like one of the last, if not the last, oracle deck that Doreen came out with before she skedaddled. So the Crystal Angels depicts crystals. And then you get this really cool message at the bottom that I always find just fits perfectly with the reading. So if you like crystal energy, then you'll like this one. It's absolutely gorgeous. You get pictures of the crystals, and then sometimes you'll get a depiction of an angel as well. So I'll show you. Like this one. Really, really pretty. Look at this one, gold. It's gorgeous. Diamond. So yeah, it's kind of a fun twist. So if you're into crystals, this one is kind of fun. You get a really pretty image and a really good intuitive insight at the bottom. So it acts as an oracle. I don't use the guidebook for this one. I never, like, as you could tell, it pretty much looks like it's never been cracked open. I don't know if the guidebook is worth it or not, but to be honest, I've had this deck for a good 2 years at least. I've never had to use the guidebook, so it works for me. So yeah, you guys, that concludes the decks that I recommend to help you kind of go through some challenging times. Really soothing, fun, you know, vibrant energy. There's beautiful colors, and it's just really soft, and less people, more animals, and like fantasy land. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for staying with me if you stayed with me throughout the whole 47 minutes. I wish you guys a beautiful rest of the weekend because we're on a Friday. So have a beautiful weekend. And I will be back with you another day for more videos. Until then, take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face if you're outside. Wash your hands when you come back home. And just have a beautiful, beautiful rest of the weekend. Bye, guys.